In this video, we are going to discuss about data frame in Pandas and how can we create a data frame and what are the several attributes which help us to do the programming functionality with data frame. So data frame in Pandas is two-dimensional, size mutable, heterogeneous tabular data structured with labeled rows and columns, that is access. Can be taught like a dictionary that it contains the Python series objects. Now df.me attribute and the descriptions which are listed here, that is df.columns, it lists the column name. If you use df.access, then list the raw labels in the column's name. Ndim, it returns the number dimension. Size, return the number of elements which are there. Shape returns the tuple representing the dimensionality, that is the rows and columns. Values, the numpy representation of the data, values which we have studied in series also. And dtypes list the type of columns which are there. The other methods which are head and tail for displaying the first and last rows. Describe generates the descriptive stats for numerical columns only. Similarly, max and min value to fetch the maximum and minimum value from the numeric columns. Mean and median return the mean and median value of numeric column. STD is used for standard deviation. Sample returns the random sample for a data. And drop NA drops all the record with the missing values. Missing values we will discuss in upcoming videos. Right now we will see that how can we create a data frame. So here where we left with series, firstly we are going to declare a variable df for data frame and pd.dataframe. So it is like dictionary, so we are enclosing with name, we are giving a series of name, and similarly age as key we will give the series of keys that is having the age. So firstly we are giving here the name, and then it is going to have pd.series for the values of name. So as we are giving multiple values, we will enclose that within square brackets, and it is having name Alice, Bob, and Chris. These are the three names which it's having. And then what we are going to do is we're going to give the age which are there for the particular ages which are there in it. So we have to enclose the series within the parenthesis also. So that is enclosed, and next what we are going to give as the age. So next key which we have is age, and that is also going to have a pd.series and we have to give the ages here. So I'm giving the ages here 21, 25 and 23. Next what we're going to do, we're going to print this particular data frame, that is df, and let us firstly execute this. So here you can see that it returns me the name and the age which we have given, indexing that 0, 1, 2 with the name and the respective ages. Now if you want to check the particular size which we have studied here, there is a particular in there df.size, it returns the number of elements. So you can just simply write here df.size. Now here you can see the size returns to us is 6. Along with the print of that data frame, it returns as 6 because there are in total 6 values. Similarly, you can also check the shape that tuple is representing it. So for that you have to write df.shape as you used to write in series also. So df.shape. So here it is returning the df.shape. There is 3, 2. That means there are 3 rows and there are 2 columns. Next we are going to see that if I want to add a new column, then how can I do that? Right now I'm having just name and age. Now if I want to add a new column, then how can I do it? So this is print.df, and next what I'm going to do here, let me do it in a new cell only. I have to write here df, and then I have to write the new column which I want to add. For example, I want to add a height column also. And then I have to give the values that I will give in series only, and I have to mention the heights. So 5.2, 6.0 and 5.6. And when you print again this particular df, then here you can see a new column is added along with the name and age, that is height. Next, we want to read CSV file of particular data and then implement certain functions. So here in the tutorial you can see that we have mentioned the link of a CSV file and you can download it from here, and then we will perform certain operations on that. So after you download this particular CSV file, it will be stored, and the name of that file is salaries. So salaries.csv file will be stored. So df dot, we have to read the salaries, and now we want to display a few records first. So we know that we use the head function for it, df dot head, and if I don't mention any particular attribute here that how many display I want to do for 2 records or 3 records, if I leave it empty, this particular parenthesis, then it will by default read the first 5 records. So these are the first 5 records from that particular CSV file, that is salaries.csv, that is having rank, discipline, PhD, service, sex and salary. So these are the elements, and if I give here the particular number which I want to read, then it will display you the total 7 records, that is indexing from 0. Next, if you want to list the types of all column, that what are the particular types of column, then you have to write df.dtypes, which we have studied also while we are discussing about the functions. So df.dtypes, so it prints you the rank, an object, discipline is also an object, PhD is integer, and similarly the service is integer, sex is an object, salary is an integer. So overall the type is an object type. Next, if we want to list the columns, that what are the columns, then how can we do that? We have to simply write df.columns, and it will give you that the columns are rank, discipline, PhD, service, sex, salary, and all are object type. Next, if you want to list the row labels and the column names, for that we use the function df.access. So it is giving you that the range index starts from 0 and stops at 78. That means there are total 78 starting from 0. It's step of 1, and index also it returns. That is for the row names and the columns. Now for number of dimensions, if you want to check, then we use the enddim. So df.enddim. So it returns that it is 2 dimensions. Next, if we want to check the total number of elements in this data frame, so simply we use the size function, that is 486 are the total elements which are there. For number of rows and columns, we use the shape, so that is df.shape, that is there are 78 rows and 6 columns in total, starting with all the entries and rows, and these are the 6 columns which are there. Next, if we want to fetch the output basic stats for the numeric columns, then we use describe. So let us write df.describe. Here you can see that the basic stats, that is count, mean, standard deviation, minimum 25%, 50%, 75%, and the maximum is returned. For the numeric columns which are there in this particular CSV file, those are PhD, service, and the salary. So we can use the describe method for the basic stats of numeric column. You can also calculate the average of column for first 50 rows. So how can you calculate the average for that? You have to simply write df.head. For 50 first columns you want to calculate, let's say 50 dot mean. So here you can see for the first 50 columns of numeric, PhD, service, and salary, this is the mean value, or you can say the average value which is written. The type is float because it is of decimal points value. Next, we will discuss about grouping and filtering with the help of Dataframe in our upcoming video.